As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that it wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I have experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. This is my time to share my journey with you. Welcome to My Paranormal Soapbox. Hello and welcome to My Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 64 this evening. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be a cool show, an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about, can we experience negative side effects from ghost hunting? And of course, this has been a topic that I've seen pop up here and there. It's a very subjective topic to me. I think that everybody's going to have varying experiences and opinions on this. And the first thing I want you guys to do is not only hear me out, but I want you guys to think of all the possible negative side effects that you have experienced from your paranormal investigations, pursuits into understanding the unknown, whether it be UFOs, cryptids, what have you, even research, even going to haunted locations just on tours, museums, anything and everything. Trying to open up those doors into the spirit world and beyond. But thank you for joining us. We have Jess and Missy with us tonight. We are streaming on RU Media Network and at Justin Brown Paranormal Research Facebook page and the Interface Death YouTube channel. Chat is working. Everything's going smoothly. Girls, are you ready to do it tonight?
I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
All right, here we go. You guys, if you're watching this show for the first time, this is how it works. I'm going to talk for a little while. If you want to be shouted out on the show, the girls will shout you out. Just at least comment hi, talk to the other people in chat. People on YouTube can cross chat with Facebook, but Facebook's going to have to look at the YouTube comments on the stream here to see them. But be my guest, share this live stream with your friends, and let's get into this. Let's sink our teeth into this. We can really try to get some takeaways from this live stream that maybe you haven't, hopefully some stuff that you haven't thought about before. But I often wonder if my quote unquote obsession with the paranormal is healthy. Whether it be constantly thinking about death and constantly thinking about the afterlife, constantly thinking about negative entities, being fascinated with dark, occult stuff, and just everything in general. Now, of course, I try to balance it out with being spiritual in nature, cleansing myself, meditating, doing energy work, energy healing, and doing positive, uplifting things. But I often feel myself balancing it out with darker stuff. So, am I subjecting myself to negative forces, dark forces that can, hit me in the ass in the long run or short term? So, we're going to talk about these things. So, the first thing I want to say is everyone's different, right? Not everybody is going to go into a paranormal investigation or go into a haunted situation willingly and come out with the same results when we talk about negative side effects. The paranormal deals with psychology and it deals with spiritual aspects of the consciousness itself. What we are aware of is not always going to align with what is happening and what can affect us. If we are unaware psychologically and consciously of things happening, we could still be somewhat affected. We can be completely aware of these things, but then cause problems that really didn't exist in the first place, psychologically, but maybe not so much experiencing direct side effects from the phenomena itself. So there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of things. Mind can play tricks on us. Spirits can play tricks on us. It's a very confusing and mysterious subject matter to talk about. But the first thing you see on forums, on other shows and videos that people talk about the negative side effects is having attachments, things following you home, attracting the attention of unwanted entities, right? So that's the first thing that we probably should talk about. So the first thing people ask or think about when that comes up is, what do you do to protect yourself? Do you go in not protecting yourself just so you can expose yourself openly to the phenomena in order to document it, experience it? A lot of people do that. And sometimes I find myself doing that, right? And I think in that situation, you're asking for it. I think that if you're not prepared for the onslaught of things that could happen to you, it can be pretty nasty. Worst case scenario is something super dark comes your way and not only affects you, but it affects everybody around you. Your children, your wife, your spouse, your loved ones, your friends, everything. Even your pets, your vegetation, plants around your house. I've heard all kinds of reports. On the other end of the spectrum, you can be bothered, have minor nuisances happening around your home, and you can be somewhat kind of bogged down energetically, psychologically, and spiritually, whether you be aware of it or not. So if you go in unprotected, you have to be able to accept that there are negative side effects that can come. I think once you start believing that that's not possible is when you're really, really asking for it. I think the most dangerous situation is when you think you're connecting with or dealing with or experiencing with something that's not negative, and you're really opening yourself up and exposing yourself to it. That's when you're the most vulnerable. I have a story. I've talked about it before, but some of you watching may not have heard about it. I was doing a residential case a few years ago in Ohio, and there was an old lady that had passed in a home, and I believe that I was connecting with her. Very nice lady, but very upset, very confused, and in a dark state. She was almost in a perpetual state of sorrow because the loss of her vanity, the loss of her youth, and it was very depressing, very sad. And the more and more I connected with this to understand, to convey to the clients what her story was, the worse I felt. It literally, by the end of the night and on the way home, it literally felt like I was dying. And it's really hard to describe what that feels like. You feel literally like you're being sucked dry by a vampire. It's a supernatural, draining, death-like feeling. It's pretty scary, actually. And it's the result of me, mixing my consciousness, my spiritual self with this energy, with this entity. So I felt like I was being swept up in that energy, and it was causing me harm. So I had to cleanse myself. to say the least. Once I got home, I took care of it, felt better. So I knew that validated to me that there was a side effect, there was a negative effect of that. When you on the surface would think that there was nothing to be afraid of. But let's just face it, I was naive, I was inexperienced, I was experimenting with my abilities, experimenting with the possibilities of what is possible when it comes to connecting with the other side. So heed my warning. You guys got to be careful out there. You got to protect yourself, know your limitations, don't get in over your head. So, that's the takeaway from what I will say. A couple other things I will address before we get to the shout outs and get to your comments, which I'm going to assume there's a lot. I see a lot of people in chat right now. You can do things to yourself. You can cause negative effects on yourself that's not directly caused by spirits and entities and hauntings. You can become obsessed and push away your loved ones. You can do things in a dangerous way to, put yourself in situations that could cause physical harm to yourself, going into buildings that are decrepit, that are have contaminants in them, that aren't safe. You can do things to yourself psychologically that will creep up on you and will either drive you crazy or, like I said before, place a wedge between you and your loved ones, and maybe start, affecting yourself in ways that are not good, health-wise, psychologically, and spiritually. And I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, but let's just say this. If you feel like you are on a mission to do some sort of work, and you start putting your paranormal work and prioritizing it above these things in your life, such as your spouse, your children, your day job, all those things that you should put up there. And if you're religious, even your own religion, even your own spirituality, if you're constantly spreading yourself thin, it's going to have effect on you. You can do this to yourself. And I see a lot of posts out there on social media. I hear a lot of people talk about their obsession. And it doesn't have to be about the paranormal, obviously, but this is a paranormal show. So we will talk about how people become obsessed with the paranormal, how people, can cause damage and negative side effects just by the way they go about it. And I think that's important. I want to know what you guys think. What are your experiences with negative side effects from investigating, from dealing with a haunting, going too far, going in on your head, or just trying to be careful and still it didn't work? I really want to know what you guys think. Are you girls ready for these shout outs? I know Missy probably isn't. Do you want to go first?
Mute? Am I muted first off so I don't have to do this again?
Okay, we'll switch to your full screen. Go ahead and talk, and we'll see if you guys can't hear her. Say we can't hear her in the chat because I'm this is supposed to be fixed. So go ahead, Missy.
Okay, I have Bill Davis, I have Sandy Griffith, I have Heather Elliott, I have Josh Fritz, Derek Schreiner, I have Michael, I have Josh Bender, I have Becky Compton, I have Janet, I have Howie, I think that's how you say her name, Mike, I have Nicole, Shannon, Nelson, Marilyn, Janet, Robert, Valerie, Brandon, Jonna, Christy, Wes, and Chad Barr. On RU Media, I have David, Michael, Tina, Melissa, and Adam.
All right. Well, we got Adam in the house, so hopefully we can get some feedback from both him and Dave. I know they, go out and do the ghost hunting thing, and they've had some experience at it. So it's always good to hear from other seasoned investigators on the subject matter, because I think it's important to know, what the side effects can be. So go ahead and shout out YouTube.
All right. There is Todd, Anaheim Nocturnal, Scotty Fox, Sacramento Paranormal, Auburn Sam Thomas, Mel K, Supernatural Lost Adventures, and Joe just jumped on.
Yay, Joe.
I actually had Kevin Saunders just jump on.
What's up, Kevin?
Also.
So yeah, he was at a location that was definitely not peachy. And there's probably a lot of people that are watching right now that's been to the Monroe House. We'll definitely be there soon.
They said they can't hear Jess.
What?
You can't hear Jess. Okay, we'll go over to Jessica.
Never mind, Christy said.
Never mind. Okay.
Can't see Jess.
Yeah, I had to turn her camera on. Okay. I didn't think so. Yeah, it was blacked out for a second, but I fixed it. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Is there anybody that's put down their thoughts yet?
Well, I have a question, and I know that Jess has a good question from Scotty Fox.
Okay.
Or a good comment, at least.
Well, you go ahead, Missy.
How do you cleanse yourself? Janet asked.
Okay, well, recently what I've been doing is, well, if you guys remember a few episodes back, my mom pretty much gave us a exercise to do to try to connect a little bit more. But once you connect a little bit more, you're more open. So what I do is you have to be in a good place spiritually and mentally if you want to attract things good. Okay? But you have to, cleansing, you have to have a certain amount of discernment ability. Okay? Because, just imagine you have your front door there. Okay? And you're like, okay, I'm going to open this door. Some really good metaphysicists and paranormal investigators will be like, I can put a filter on this door. I can only let the good in and keep the bad on the other side of the screen door. I can see them, I can detect them, but they're not going to get me. Okay? Whether that filter is what it is, a lot of the times that's just not how it works. It's either open or closed. So what I have taught Jess specifically is a good way to cleanse yourself and protect yourself is extend your energy out to a point where you can sense things, but they don't come into your being. You have to use your imagination in unison with your spiritual ability, with your psychic ability. Okay?
And maybe you should explain to them like how you explained to me, for the people that might want to know of how it clicked with me as what Justin was describing was, pretend like you have the bad, the negative behind, like in a zoo, like they're in a cage. You can interact with them, but they can only go so far. And that's when it actually clicked with me of what he was describing. And I think that actually that's what, set me to use it. And it was benefit for me. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
So have you used that method?
Yeah. Even if it's not like I'm at a location, if there's a lot of people, I try to do that. I mean, just even with just energy, I try to have it, kind of push that I can see it, I can feel it, but it can't come towards me.
Right. And the other way is I cleanse myself using sage, sweetgrass, cedar, even tobacco at times. I do, I pray. To mostly Native American, entities, but whatever your spiritual beliefs are, whatever your faith is in, that's what you've got to rely on. If you don't have faith in those things, and if you can't rely on them, then you're pretty much just open to just about anything. Now, I will bring up, I know we have a lot of questions here and I want to address them. If we run over a little bit of an hour and you want me to go longer, I will. But I believe that we all have a spiritual immune system. Some are very strong, some are very weak, some are just healthy. Sometimes our spiritual immune system will kick in without us even being aware and fix the situation. Sometimes we go on an investigation, we feel like we have an attachment, we feel like crap for a few days, but we get better. That's our spiritual immune system working through that. Some don't get better quickly, and some don't get good at all. Some, deal with possessions, deal with long-term attachments, what have you. It's a theory that I'd really like to find more supporting evidence of, but I would like to know what you think, if you've ever thought of it like that. But that's another form of protection that I believe that we have. But whatever you do, rely on spiritual leaders to, lean on for cleansing. Go to your faith, go to your spiritual belief. Missy, do you want to ask some questions? Oh, wait a minute.
I don't
You
have any
did.
questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's YouTube this time. Do we have
Yes.
any? Okay.
I do have one from Scotty Fox. He says, can overprotection hinder your investigation for data?
Yeah, it can. Kind of like at the beginning of the show. Let's just say if you go into a location and it's nasty and you cleanse the area at any point before, during, or after investigation, you can ruin the data that you would otherwise get if you didn't do that. Now, if you cleanse at the end, you might be, changing what type of phenomena occurs for the next people to come in. You have to consider that too. But there's a lot more to it, obviously.
Yeah, he said that he thinks there's a whole show on how to protect oneself at home.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things out there, but it boils down to what your belief is and the intent of it. So there's not just one way.
He also asked, can he vape sage for protection?
If you believe it helps, yes. Good luck convincing yourself or me that it does work, though.
Anaheim just posted, I space out after a location because I can feel the energy. I try to pray afterwards.
Does that help when you do that?
And also Haunted by Haunted has joined.
Thanks for joining us. I did see that RU Media said that they have definitely dealt with the negative side effects. Has anybody else? I see Joe in the chat talking. I just feel like crap because I have a long drive and didn't get a whole lot of sleep. That's every investigation. That's a negative side effect. I think that definitely matters. And that's something we should talk about too. Sleep deprivation. That's not good. We talked about before, last time we went out. I think Joe was actually there when I brought it up. You can't get back to sleep that you lose. Now, a lot of people believe that you can if you just sleep in on the weekend or whatever, but you really can't. You can't get it back. So that is definitely a negative side effect. So if you anticipate that you're going to stay up late, get up late. Try to get up late that morning before you leave. Try to adjust your sleeping schedule to accommodate that, because that's definitely a negative side effect that will catch up to you. Definitely.
And I know from personal experience, coming back from a location, like it takes me days, and not just sleeping. It's like the energy is like, and it takes forever for me to feel like I'm in a way filled back up. It takes me a long time. Because where do we go? Before Gettysburg, where did we go?
Madison
Seminary.
That was horrible. That was too close together for me. That was absolutely horrible.
It was hot. It's hot in there, inside of Madison Seminary in the summer. It's a big place, so you run around with lots of equipment, unpacking it, packing it, and of course we were filming, for an episode of our, YouTube season. So mix that with, trying to deal with entities. I'll say one thing about Madison. I know we're on RU Media Network, so we're not biased by saying this, but it's one of the most active locations, energetically active locations I've been to. The first thing I noticed was the energy has been modified, manipulated somehow by people there. And I don't know if it's been amplified or been agitated or just been activated. Whatever adjective or verb you want to use, there's something going on there extra special that I felt while there. What do you girls think? Do you think that there was an extra added side effect after that investigation compared to others?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, well, um, anything
I,
else there on Facebook?
I do have a couple more comments. Robert Murphy said after doing attachment removals or treating really bad locations, my wife truly believes my personality becomes more negative for a few days each time.
Hmm. Yeah, it's something that's definitely. I believe in it. I believe that whether it be psychosomatic, psychological, or actual, spiritual warfare, I believe it's one of the three. And whether it's actual spiritual warfare or just in your head, it doesn't really matter. What matters is there's a side effect there that's detectable and that affects you. So the more you know about yourself through the channels of psychology, spirituality, the better you are to handle such things. You can strengthen your wit and your mind and your spirit to, you know, deal with these things, but never feel like you are on top of it all the time. You need a support group. If you go with a team, that your team definitely needs to be your support group. If you have some type of dysfunction going on, or you're not getting along with your team members, that's not good. So if you're a founder or a lead investigator of a team, make sure your team is tight. Make sure you guys are just impenetrable when it comes to your relationships. I think that's pretty important.
I have a comment from Heather Elliott. She said, when I'm done with an investigation and I'm in my car ready to leave, I say out loud, if there are any spirits here with me, you need to stay here. Thank you for letting me visit, but you're not welcome to come with me. Don't know if that works. LOL.
Well, it can. Just say, okay, someone comes to my house. Let's just say I'm lonely. Let's just say I want to meet people and I want to interact with people. And someone comes to my house and visits, and then they, all of a sudden start going away and they get in their car. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. You didn't say goodbye. You didn't say anything. So maybe I want to go hang out with you more. I'll jump in your backseat of your car and see where you're going and hang out with you some more. I may be a good person, but if you tell me right out, hey, no, you're not welcome in my car. You're not welcome to follow me home. Stay here. Then I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. So that'll work in that scenario. But if you go into a location where they're outright out to get you, okay, if you're dealing with something dark, let's go theological for a second. If you're dealing with something demonic, they can splinter off into many pieces as they need to. Okay? If you biblically, if you look in the scripture, we're dealing with more than one entity. Okay, if you believe in this stuff. I do not personally believe in it, but it has power, and theological entities do exist in a different mechanic, in my view. Not because I believe they actually exist, but psychokinetically they exist. But that's irrelevant. What's relevant is what haunts one location can haunt another location simultaneously. So it can stay there and affect that location and other things and people that come to that location and leave that location and you wherever you go. So when it comes to that stuff, you need extra protection. You need a little bit more stronger faith, a little bit more knowledge in the occult and dark things. Do your research.
Craig Williams joined. Sam had a question a little earlier. Wonder how many people have died from having attachments. Anybody know of any?
Annalise McKell is the first one that a lot of people believe that rings a bell. First off, that's the inspiration for the was it the Emily Rose movie? Is that okay? So demonic possession, of course, she died. She believed she was possessed. The Catholic priest believed she was possessed. Her parents believed she was possessed, but they were found guilty of negligence in court, causing her death. And very controversial situation, but there are cases that spiritual warfare had taken place and resulted in their death. That's the first one to come to my mind. That's probably the most high profile one I could think of.
Okay, I had Anthony Grothaus jump on, and on RU Media, Bonnie Ring just jumped on. Anthony said, since I'm a paramedic, I've had a female follow me on 3 separate investigations asking me to save her dead baby. She followed me on investigations, but not at home.
And he's wondering what my insight on that is.
I guess so.
All right. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is when you're out investigating, your frame of mind changes. Your mode of consciousness and perception changes. Starting to think about the spiritual self and the spirit realm more. So your psychic senses and your mode of perception will just slightly change enough to where those things that we're trying to get through and weren't are now coming through, and you're now aware of them. So that's probably the main possibility of that. Do you girls have any other thoughts or concur with that?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening, so go ahead, Missy. I was reading the comments.
I wasn't really listening either. I was thinking about Marlene.
Yeah, just keep on reading comments. What do you guys think? Let's ask the chat the same question. Have you ever experienced entities coming through your devices, or, feeling or sensing the entities that followed you from other locations to another? Do you believe that it's because you become more spiritually sensitive, aware, because of the nature of what you're doing, or do you think it's something else? What do you guys think? We'll give you even more feedback on that, Anthony.
Okay. Bonnie joined on YouTube, and I have a question from Sam. Has anyone watched yourself in a video and don't remember it at all?
It's rare for me. I normally remember everything that I do. Most of the time. I don't know about you girls.
See, I mean, I don't know about Missy, but I know when I see the trailer or I see the video, like, I don't remember saying any of that. And I know we've talked about that. I don't remember any of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Derek said Jessica Bias, your mom.
I know. My mom's on. Hi, Mom.
He said your mom?
Yeah.
My Facebook is jacked.
Jacked.
Like jacked or like jacked?
It's Bill. Who knows?
Oh, hi, Betty. Betty is here. It was her son's birthday, so she's late. But it's okay, Betty. Happy birthday to your son.
Sometimes
yes,
I don't remember shit. Like, if I heard it, I can remember it. Because normally you guys don't hear it. So, my validation is later if you pick it up in evidence. I know I'm not crazy, but...
Do you think that is because, like, because there's been times me and you, and you're like, did you hear that? I'm like, no. But do you think you remember it because I don't hear it? You know what I'm saying? Because we talk about it, maybe?
I guess. Because I repeat what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody else heard it. So I always repeat what I heard, and then you guys are like, I didn't hear anything. But then I guess I just make a mental note of it so that if it does come back in evidence,
you know it. Yeah, sure.
I remember.
I want to hear like Missy hears Justin Brown.
No, you don't.
I think it's going to be easier for you to do that than you think. I know. I want
to be able to just say what I think, like you do. What I see.
What just pops up.
I just think you guys need to do your thing together more without distraction. Because when I'm with Missy investigating, especially at Madison Seminary, the things that she hears that normally isn't heard by anybody else nor the recorders was heard by me and the recorders, by all of them.
Right.
And I think that there is a psychic component into not only voice phenomena, but all paranormal phenomena when it concerns manifestation. Okay? I really believe that, guys. I know that doesn't sound sciencey to you guys. You know, if I had the money to sink into the science aspect of it, you know, to see the physical properties of everything, I would do that. But based on my experiences and working with, you know, Missy, Jessica, and my mother, other psychics as well, that seems to be the case. So I think if Jessica and Missy investigated more and connected more, they would share abilities.
Let's
That's what
do
I think.
it.
I agree. I agree.
Good.
Anthony Broughthouse wants to know if we can make it to Penhurst December 13th.
I think he was asking us that at Gettysburg, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, he was asking us about that. December when?
13th.
Oh, it's gonna be freaking cold, man. I would like to go. I've never been to Penhurst. I would really like to go, Anthony.
Yeah.
Keep reminding us about it. Keep reminding us about it, and we'll try to make that happen because I would really like to go, for real.
Bonnie had as a question when she did Malvern, it went well, but later she became crabby and not herself. Had to take 10 minutes. She meditated, put the barrier up, and all was good. Do you think that was empathic, or grumpy spirit latching?
I'm not an expert on Malvern Manor, but I'm pretty sure I've heard about some dark entities being around Malvern Manor. So if I'm correct about that, that's probably what you're picking up on. But Malvern Manor, what the hell was that building? Let me do a quick Google search just to kind of get my brain around it. Malvern Manor. The Malvern Manor was the fourth structure built in Malvern and named the Cottage Hotel. It was a hotel. Its original clientele were people who came via the railroad. So it's like Rhodes Hotel. Yeah, so it could have been anything. It could have been anything. Depending on the history, is probably a range of different things. So
Robert Murphy had a question. It's a pretty good one. He said, have any of you been affected by an energy from an upcoming location?
yes. But let's let you girls. You probably have a much better feedback than I do.
If you want to go first, Missy, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I think the one that stands out to me was the jail. And I know I've discussed this before. I kept feeling of the man, and I had to take a step back and reevaluate, look at the big picture of certain things that has happened in my life, and I had to come to terms with them because the feeling I was getting from this man, I lived it. So it would cause me, almost panic attacks and, just chest hurt, I mean, it's just so much different emotions and stuff. And, which I thought I did that pretty well, but for the most part of that investigation, I was okay until I don't know what happened or anything, then it still affected me. So I was pretty upset with myself because I didn't do what I thought I was doing such a good job at. But I think that's the one that stands out the most to me. Just the feeling that I was getting of some, a male being at the jail.
You were remote viewing that one pretty good. And I think anybody that does remote viewing before they go in could definitely deal with that.
Yeah, because I think that's even before you were, we did our call for the remote view.
Mm-hmm.
That I was getting that stuff beforehand. I believe. I think.
Scotty, I sent you a message on PayPal or on Patreon, my PayPal. I will link my PayPal right here. It's Justin Brown at interfacedeath.net. It's easy to remember. That's my PayPal. I'll put it down right now. Missy, do you have an experience that relates to what Robert Murphy asked?
Um, the the only one that I can think of was, and it didn't, it kind of, it negatively affected me, I guess, because of what it was. But before Randolph County, I seen a child on a tricycle, and he was in the middle of my bedroom. And I closed my eyes for a minute, and I opened them back up, and he was a skeleton.
Wow.
And then I closed my eyes again, and he disappeared.
That's normal.
Yeah,
Justin.
that's just normal.
Oh my gosh, I can't. I can't. I was okay until you said that, Justin. I just can't. I can't deal with you. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's weird. That's, well, there's a few things that affect you in your dreams. They kind of haunt your dreams. It's kind of like a different way to get fucked with.
Yeah.
It doesn't directly relate to what Robert asked, but he was there and he knows about it. When we were at Gettysburg, Jessica from Paranormal Dares brought over that fucking skull.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's worth bringing up, right?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So she comes over and she's getting to know us. She's being all friendly and everything, and she's curious what she thinks about an item that she has. She asks if we have any psychics in the group, and I'm like, yeah, sure, we do psychical research all the time. We're constantly testing abilities and doing readings and everything. So she's like, okay, cool. So she brings over. We don't know what she's bringing over. She brings over this. What is it, like a pewter skull or a plastic skull? When I can't tell what material it was made out of.
I don't know. I didn't touch it.
But it was like, it had this very ornate design on it. I can't really.
It was like gemstones, like crystals and stuff, like embedded into it.
No, it had some kind of intricate design. It was black and it was like gold inlaid.
Oh, I just remember gold. I didn't. Yeah.
So she sits on the table and she's like, here it is. And when she brings it over, it's almost like she's bringing over like something like crazy. Like she's holding it, like fixated on it, and like, here it is. So I'm like, okay, I put my hand over it. And immediately on my right, its left side of the skull, I had a sharp pain shoot into my arm, right into my elbow. And it almost felt like something was trying to sever or trying to pull apart my forearm from my elbow. It was like a very torturous pain. So that pretty much told me off the bat that somebody used this in a ritual pretty much to inflict pain, to do someone harm. And whoever did this, I didn't like. And started calling him some choice words. And, she pretty much told me I was right on the money with it. And once I started dealing with the energy of this thing, I could tell that the energy had a consciousness that was powerful. Okay? And it started to mess with me in a way that really took a lot of my concentration, patience away from what we were doing, because we're going to go out to eat with EPS, Elite Paranormal Society. Robert wasn't there, but the rest of them were, and we were planning to go other places and do other things. And I felt like this energy wanted me to embrace some old ways of thinking. And what I mean by that is there has been dark times in my life where I felt very angry. And, all the aspects of Satanism, turning away from Christ, inflicting pain and malice upon innocent people, the nasty stuff you can think about. It had me revisiting those thoughts, and I was resisting them. And what was enraging me was the personality of this man. And it almost like it was trying to get me to feel nasties about him. If that's the way it could get me into that mindset, even though it was against him, that was perfectly fine. So, of course, it was trying to give me flashes of violence, imagining me doing some pretty horrible things. And we had dinner, and there were some certain things that happened during the dinner that really tested me. And I didn't have any of my cleansing materials. So they were all at the booth. So I just had to write it out and just let it subside over time. And I think, what do you guys think? Probably, later in the evening when we were sitting in front of the fire, maybe I started feeling a little bit better, but it took several hours at least.
Yes, I agree.
And it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
RU Media linked your the Justin Brown your email in their comments too.
I did that.
Okay. Jess, Craig Williams asked a question.
Yes, I have two of them. I was getting ready. I was going to let you go first.
Oh.
Do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Craig wanted to know, would a spirit or ghost look like the same as when they were alive or when they have died?
I think that they can, but not always. I think they can take on different forms. They can look like themselves at different points in their life. They can look like themselves in a very nasty death state. They can look like someone totally entirely, whether it be another person entirely or another thing. It could be a shadow person that can be monstrous looking. And yeah, they can look like different things.
I have seen both.
I was going to say, I haven't seen, but I felt both. It's like when they're almost like the happiest is how I take it.
In general, or just in certain situations?
In general, I think. Other than with kids is weird because if you're knowing that they had a miscarriage and the child is with them, or the child passed away at an early age, it's almost like you feel them at a certain age, but when you can see them, they're a little older. So I always go with what I'm feeling rather than what I'm seeing, especially with children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of hauntings, especially the one I dealt with was the person returned to a point in their life that they wanted. It dealt with a suicide. So if you're dealing with a suicide scenario, they're not going to be hanging out during the time where they wanted to commit suicide. They're going to go back to a time before they felt like that, before they felt like crap. So, and they can become really confused when you tell them that, hey, look, it's not that time anymore. This is not your house anymore. Your children have all grown up and gone on with their lives, and this is their situation. They may hear you, but they may return right back to where they were. And that is hell. That could be someone's personal hell, to go back when they're their happiest, but find out that things aren't right and they cannot fix it or figure out why it's not right over and over again. I don't want to think about it.
Tony Falusi said, we had something like that happen at Bobby Mackey's. An entity tried to get an investigator to strangle me.
An entity tried to get an investigator to strangle him. Wow. I see a lot of that on TV, but I've never personally experienced that.
Well, I was gonna punch Josh in the face at Lincoln County at Hartford City.
Oh, shit. Forgot all about that. You wanted to punch somebody in the face.
I wanted to punch somebody in the face.
Go
I wanted
ahead.
to punch Josh in the face.
But he didn't do anything.
No.
You want to tell the story real quick?
You tell the story, Justin.
God.
You tell it better than me.
All right, we're at Hartford City Jail and or Blackford County Jail in Hartford City, Indiana, and there was an entity there that was very thought he was head honcho of the jail, was very intimidated by anybody that would challenge him, and Missy was channeling him, and I guess he was intimidated and thought Josh was challenging him, so he wanted to fight Josh, but Missy was channeling him, so she wanted to fight Josh at points. And there you go.
My 5 foot tall, 110-pound ass was going to get killed.
He's just a big teddy bear.
I think you would have punched him and he kind of would have been like, what are you doing?
Right. Oh, it might have been like, what's that cartoon where they put the hand on the forehead and they're like swinging?
I just get bit by a bug.
Something like that. I can't remember the cartoon.
Bill said, LOL, poor Josh.
Anaheim says, do you think the sketches of Amy Allen from Dead Files are legit? Is it possible they look like that?
Yep.
So Missy and Derek have met Amy Allen, and they believe that she's legit. Yeah, at Fear Fest.
Fearfest, yes.
And if the premise of the show is legit, Steve Salvi or whatever his name is, Salvi, something like that. I've seen him do talk shows and podcasts, and he is very adamant, never changes his story, that he doesn't embellish, doesn't, fabricate anything. He goes out and finds all the photographs, does all the history. She draws them up. She has an artist that draws them up. So as far as I know, what you see is what you're getting. But I cannot prove that. Sorry. I believe that psychics can pick up on the characteristics, the facial characteristics of entities, and then have a sketch artist draw them. I believe that's completely possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have told you several times that if I could only draw what I see, it would be a whole
Justin,
different
I seen
ballgame.
this. She puts up a stick figure.
Right? It would be little stick figures.
With the arm like this.
Yep.
See, this is the guy punching Josh.
Maybe it was me that was sending you that vibe. I'm just joking. Amy Allen on the show.
I seen Robert talking about, and at the next location, a guest was surrounding to jump me a week later. Maybe it was my personality.
Robert's such a nice guy, though.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I don't see that.
Yeah, that's the last thing I felt when I was around him, was wanting to punch him. So I don't think so. Don't think so. It was the demons. It was the nasties. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions, I know we're getting towards the end.
One other question, and I know he's posted this twice, and I apologize for cutting you off. Anaheim says, wonder how the Slender Man arrived at Randolph County Infirmary.
I don't know if it was the Slender Man. I have no idea. It kind of looked like it. I know I kind of made a similarity in the documentary that we did last season. It looked like a cross between the Slender Man and the alien from the Aliens, the movie. It kind of looked like what are they called? The morph something.
Mothman Historian joined.
Oh man, he joined here right at the end.
Yes.
But I believe that people can go to haunted locations and leave psychokinetic manifestations there. And that's what I felt it was. I did not feel like it was something, natural.
I think that we should address Michelle Volkfire's comment on YouTube.
Michelle says, I don't believe she is blindly entering a location. It's just too easy to research. Talking about Alan.
Don't believe she is blindly entering a location. It's just too easy to research. Yeah, you definitely should be skeptical about any TV show. I on our own videos, people claim Jess and Missy go in there knowing stuff and pretend like they're coming up with it. I know and believe that they're not. So you have to go based on faith. What my suggestion would be, form a team, grab up some psychics, go out and see if they can do it. Like, I've tested my mom. I've done everything I could. I just said, hey, Mom, I'm coming by your house. I'm taking you to the place. Where are we going? I'm not telling you. Where is it at? I'm not telling you. We'll drive hours and hours. We'll take her there. And she tells me every freaking thing, plus more than I could possibly know about the place. And I'm just like, there you go. And it's real, folks. I'm sorry if that freaks you out or if it goes against your beliefs. That's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, is not only investigating haunted locations, I investigate psychics. And I actually work with psychics to improve their abilities and my own. And I mentor psychics, I mentor investigators. I've been doing it for a while now. Go ahead and go to Mothman.
Perhaps investigating itself in some ways is a negative side effect. Having the electric courtesy is also a lot of work, but of course can be quite fun too. Sorry, when I'm reading, it's jumping.
Yeah, I know what he's saying. He's just saying having a curious mind is possibly a negative side effect. Maybe if that's the way you want to look at it. But we're talking about, side effects that you can get from, investigating itself. Like, it's not the act of investigating or the act of being curious. It's this what happens from the source of whatever you're curious about is what we're talking about, focusing on.
Michelle commented back, I do believe in sensitives. I just don't believe in the Hollywood portrayal. But if someone is feeling things like sadness or anger, etc., I do believe that.
Okay, one thing I will say, and I am skeptical about, is a psychic is not 100% accurate all the time. It's not like they turn it on, they go to every location, they know all this stuff. What you're seeing on Dead Files is highly edited. She probably hangs out in that location for hours and they edit it into 5 minutes. She probably doesn't get stuff at some locations, comes back the next day, gets a little bit, maybe just gets enough. Maybe she don't, get exactly enough, but they, through the power of editing, they do what they need to do to make it look good. Okay, so editing can give you the sense of, you think they're lying to you. So, I understand that. Me being an editor, I totally understand how someone would feel like they don't want to trust what I'm putting out there when I'm editing it. That's why I always put the stuff that we record out for peer review. I offer the raw data files. I go through it, put it together, and do live reviews with people. I do everything I can to try to be transparent.
Michelle also said, I believe in residual energy. I'm skeptical on the intelligent energy. That's something I'm searching for, to be honest. Mothman also said, I would like to have a main negative side effect. I would say the main negative side effect on investigating is getting stuck in a particular belief system. Got to keep an open mind to all possibilities. Belief is the enemy.
Yes, it can be, but I think in when it comes to dealing with protecting yourself and cleansing yourself, belief is probably not your enemy, but it can be. Belief
Joe,
can definitely get you in trouble. I'll agree
Joe
with that.
says Joe says they're in the home for at least 3 to 5 days.
Yeah. So that's my suspicion is they go in there as long as it takes, probably from 1 to 3 days, maybe even a week at sometimes, to get the footage that they need. So you're seeing it as like they're going through there and she's just going to room and hitting everything. It doesn't work like that, in my experience. Highly edited. So yeah, we've done it, ladies and gentlemen. We've reached an hour. You girls, are we cleared? Is there anything anybody screaming at us about? Hey, answer my question or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for helping me once again. You did a great job. There at the beginning, it was pretty busy there on Facebook, but I think we got through it. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for another interesting episode of My Paranormal Soapbox. Your support means it means a lot. It's very, very important and very awesome that you guys, tune in every week. You pretty much drive me to do this. Your questions and ways to get me engaged with the paranormal through, the medium of live social media broadcasting is why I do it. So I appreciate you guys. We'll do some plugs here. If you guys want to look in, if you have not been to our website, you can check out what Interface Death Paranormal Research does at interfacedeath.net. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check out Justin Brown Paranormal Research is my blog page on Facebook. You can check out Interface Death on Facebook as well. All the social media links on interfacedeath.net is there at the top on the header. You can follow Interface Death on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're watching on YouTube, please consider going, or Facebook rather, if you're watching on Facebook, please go over to YouTube, click that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. It helps us out a lot, and it's totally free, even though you don't watch us on YouTube. And patreon.com/support Interface Death. What you see now is completely free content, but it's free because other people are supporting us financially. If you like what we're doing, if you like the video documentaries, the live streams, the tutorials, everything that we do here on the internet, you can help us do that, okay, through patreon.com or PayPal. Okay, if you don't like the setup of Patreon, you don't like the monthly subscription, you can just PayPal your donations and you will be shouted out as a Patreon. But Clay Borman, Katie Turner, Archie Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Paranormal Reporter, Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers, Heather Elliott, Joe Vitale, The Ghost Guild, Kelly McConkey, Tony Felosi, General 7, and Betty Kegley all make this content available to you. They keep it here to stay. They protect it. Extend your thanks to them. We very much appreciate them. There is tiers on the Patreon. If you go there, you get rewarded depending on what you pledge. So that's a cool thing. So United Paranormal Society on Facebook. If you're a Facebook user, please consider joining our Facebook group. It's not only ghosts and hauntings. We talk about cryptids, UFOs, and everything else. So send an invite and I'll accept it, and we can talk paranormal all day long on UPS on Facebook. And that's where we're going to leave it, folks. You're in my heart. You mean a lot to us. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking to Vicki Burnett of Point Paranormal down in Palm Beach, Florida at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's not going to be on RU Media. It's only going to be on the Necromancer Live Show Facebook page and Interface Death YouTube channel. So we'll see you then, 8 p.m. tomorrow. And stick around for some video promotions and some ads if you have not seen them. If you're new and you want to see where all of our hard work goes into, stick around and check that out. You guys have a good night. I'll see you in the next one. you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
Dead light. For those who aren't afraid to see what lurks in the night.
Cell, I'd like to see you. What the fuck was that?
In every old building, a story lays dormant, yearning to be told. This is our calling.
I don't know why in this room, I'm hearing the train.
I just heard something.
It feels like it's train. Non-stop. I don't know why. lot of chaos a few times. A lot of hectic and a lot of energies all at once. Feels like there's an older gentleman, like he's almost angry.
So we walked out to the side of the house and we both felt like something was watching us. So at the same time, we turn and we look up at the tower and we see a man standing there. He was an older gentleman and he had, like his cheeks were kind of hanging down and his gray hair was swept back and he had a maroon dressing gown on.
I do believe that I have some sort of ability, or genuinely I could be in this house all day, all night without any complaints whatsoever. It's just that comfortable. A lot of people think just because it's haunted and just because it has paranormal activity that automatically you're supposed to run screaming for the hills, but in this place it just feels like home.
I heard footsteps, 5-degree increase.
It walked away. It's behind you.
Something that I picked up prior on the photos that I've seen, I keep seeing a badge. It feels like tightness in the chest. So it feels like he possibly could have passed away from heart or lung issues. But I don't know if he was an officer here or some kind of badge. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it, and it's just so overwhelming. It's just, it's a lot of
Whoa. My camera just stopped. I just got a complete shutdown of my equipment.
My main story when I first started here, that's where I saw the mass, was in the basement doorway.
Showers in prisons feel weird. More happened in there than people getting clean.
Doesn't matter what floor you're on, what room you're in, you can get interaction. This is one of the most haunted locations that I've been to.
Just walk out of your cell. I'd like to see you.